And this is a segment I texted you about literally hours ago.
I like it though.
And I was sitting at the dinner table, and it just the light bulb came on in my brain, and it was actually kind of inspired by Leighton Glodeck. We mentioned him a little bit ago.
Yeah.
We had the chance to have him on kind of in a bonus episode a couple weeks ago.
Go check that out. That's solid. And I think it's what we talked about with Leighton a few weeks ago is kind of almost timeless in a sense that we weren't talking like, oh, is Sam Darnold going to re-sign? I think we might have actually mentioned that quickly, but nothing we talked about with Leighton weeks ago is completely out of date and unlistenable right now.
And it was kind of a getting to know you with us and him too. So it was fun. March 6th, we put that out, March 6th. So go check that out. But anyways, I was sitting at the dinner table tonight, and I remembered what he said. He mentioned right at the end of that episode, something about how it would be the most Vikings thing ever if.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking, what if we came up with some different scenarios, and you did some homework on this, and so did I. Wouldn't it be the most Vikings thing ever if? So we each came up with these scenarios for this coming year, the next season, that would be the most Vikings thing ever. And obviously, I think there are definitely things on my list that I hope don't come true. But I think there are some actual things on this list that I'd be like, actually, that would be okay.
Oh man, I went all negative.
You went all negative?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a few. They're not super negative. They're somewhat positive. There's a silver lining to some of them.
Should we gamify this a little bit? I don't know how we would, but maybe like once we read off our scenario, like if I read you mine, then you could rank like, oh yeah, that's a 7 out of 10 on the list of most Vikings things ever, or like, dude, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's a 1, or like, that's a 10.
We each came up with 5.
Yeah.
So maybe we could just rank them 1 through 5. I'll rank yours. You rank mine.
Okay.
1 being the best. Like, yeah, if that happened, that would be okay. 5 being the worst.
Oh man. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you. Like,
I hadn't even really thought of gamifying it, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know, but like you're talking best, like, yeah, I really hope that happens, and worst being like, oh, US Bank Stadium gets hit by a hurricane, like that'd be the most Vikings thing ever. I hope that's number 5. Like, please don't happen.
This just reminds me of this is so random, but I think it was one of the first times we ever had Dustin Baker on our show. We did something like this.
Oh yeah,
and I could not keep straight which was best and which was worst. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And that wasn't the first time we had Dustin on. That actually wasn't terribly long ago.
Nah, it was a while ago. It was maybe like the 3rd or 4th time he was on with us, but I felt like an idiot. Anyways, I'll try to keep it straight this time.
You know what it was? This where people are they stopped listening a while ago.
It's all right.
I think it was like your most surprising cut and your least surprising cut of like players on the Vikings roster coming into the 24 season. And like there was something about like you thought like, yeah, I'd be most surprised, but our wires were crossed.
My wires were crossed. You and Dustin were on the same wavelength. But then once you
started talking, I started thinking the way you were, and I was like, oh, Evan's right. Crap, am I wrong?
Anyways, all right, so the rules are simple. We're going to alternate back and forth, but I like the game where we have 1 through 5 and we have to rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once we rank one of them, it's locked in at that spot. And then you have to put something else somewhere.
Okay.
Somewhere else in a different spot. So if you say, if the first one that I share is number 5, it's the worst. You hope that doesn't happen.
And then if you say something even worse, I'm going to be like, oh,
you're
crap.
Screwed.
Okay. I like it.
All right. Do you want to go first?
Do you want me to go first? I can go first.
You said yours were all negative. So
okay. Well, and I kind of, as I wrote them down, I kind of wrote them. No, you'll see. Okay.
You put them. I haven't seen your stuff. I'm gonna look away.
All right. So I kind of wrote them out. So okay. First thing, this would be the most Vikings thing ever. The Vikings finally get some respect from the national media this offseason after a great offseason. And with J.J. McCarthy looking great in training camp and in the preseason, they look like they're finally going to break out, while the rest of the NFC North shows signs of falling apart. The Lions lost their brains in the coordinators. The Bears, Caleb Williams doesn't really turn out, and Jordan Love turns into pumpkin. The NFC North just falls apart, and the Vikings look great. And then they go on to have a losing season, losing 10 plus games by one score. The most hyped the Vikings have ever been coming into a season, and then they finish at the bottom of the division.
Okay. So a last place finish after last week. You and I both said, "Oh, Forrest was sitting where I'm sitting," and we're like, "Nah, Vikings finish first. We win the division."
To summarize it, basically, like, yeah, they're the most hyped ever. ESPN. Stephen A. Smith is finally a Vikings fan. You know, like they're finally hyping it up.
I'm gonna say this about the Minnesota Vikings. I'm gonna say it once, and I want you to hear me.
This is a really good.
It's a terrible impression, but like you said a minute ago, nobody's listening anymore, so it's fine.
So yeah, the Vikings are super hyped up. They're supposed to be good, and then kind of the opposite of 2024. They're supposed to be good, and then they have a losing season just because they just keep losing games.
All right. Well, I'm going to put that at 3. I'm just going to put that smack dab in the middle. It could be worse.
Okay.
But it could be better.
All right.
And I don't know what else you've got for me, so I'm going to take 3 for now. I'm going to say it's smack dab in the middle. All right. All right. You ready for mine?
Yep.
Okay. So this is history repeating itself if this happens, and it doesn't necessarily I guess it could directly impact the Vikings because they will play this team this year, but quarterbacks have a history of leaving the Vikings and then finding success elsewhere.
Okay.
So it would be the most Vikings thing ever if Sam Darnold left and immediately finds success with Seattle. And for reference, Rich Gannon played for the Vikings from 1987 to 1992. He went on to be league MVP with the Raiders in 2002. He lost Super Bowl the year later to another former Vikings quarterback in 2003. And that would be Brad Johnson, who was a Vikings quarterback from 94 to 98 and won that Super Bowl in 2003 with Tampa Bay.
Johnson came back to...
Yeah, so it would be the most Vikings thing ever for Sam Darnold to have a fantastic season, crumble at the end, and then go on to be super successful with another team. Where do you put that one?
I'm going to put that at a 1.
Wow, okay.
Because, yes, it would be the most Vikings thing ever, but... like you kind of alluded to, it would kind of affect the Vikings because they play them. But it's also not like Sam Darnold being successful in Seattle doesn't mean the Vikings aren't successful or can't be successful.
I'm still bitter about Rich Gannon and Brad Johnson. And I was a kid when those guys were playing.
Brad Johnson came back, and he had at least one season where he gave us an 8-game win streak.
Yeah.
No Super Bowl, but... he kind of redeemed himself a little bit.
He was a fan favorite too, I feel like.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, and I think Rich Gannon was too. I think Vikings fans, he played before we were even born and then left when we were babies, but I think he was pretty well respected.
Well, and admittedly, in my personal fanhood, Brad Johnson, I didn't really recognize him as a Vikings quarterback until he came back. I think he had already played for and left the Vikings before I kind of woke up as a fan.
And he's one of the first quarterbacks I remember. When I was a little kid, when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, growing up in Minnesota, and we would come home from church and we'd flip on the TV and it's the Vikings playing and Brad Johnson's the one under center. He's what I remember. So yeah, no, I'm a little bitter still about all that.
Fine.
And I definitely think it would be the most Vikings thing ever for that to happen with Sam Darnold.
Yeah. So. All right. So a 1 for me.
Okay. What's your next one?
All right. My next one. All of the big-name free agents fail to play as well as they always have. Fries and Kelly consistently miss blocks. Byron Murphy Jr. suddenly can't cover anyone and misses tackles left and right. Allen and Hargrave can't stop the run. And on top of that, Garrett Bradbury earns his first Pro Bowl, and Sam Darnold is considered for the MVP award.
So that's kind of similar to what I just said. But you added the, not only do the departing players play well elsewhere, but the new players play worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got to go with a 4 on that one. I think for me. Do you think there's something worse?
I've already said too much.
You've already said too much. I don't. Okay, I'm gonna change my.
No. You can't. You can't.
I locked it in. I locked it in. It's 4.
What were you gonna change it to?
2. I'm just gonna go to the other side.
All right. Yeah, I think that's.
I mean, sure. That definitely would be the most Vikings thing ever, though, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, you make all these splashy moves in free agency. We sit here, we say, oh man, it's such a good thing that Garrett Bradbury's gone because he just, you know, he got bowled over all the time.
Yep.
And, you know, now he goes to play for New England and he just lights it up and he's the league's best center. Mm-hmm. It would be the most Vikings thing
and
ever.
Again, when I was writing that, I was kind of thinking like when I said about your point, Sam Darnold being successful in Seattle, like good for him. I think we'd be happy for him unless it negatively affected the Vikings. So that's why I threw in the Fries and Kelly can't block for anything. And then Garrett Bradbury is also all of a sudden good. So it twists the knife a little bit more. All right, what's your next one?
All right. My next one. Do we still have? Yeah, we still have this over here. Okay.
Oh no.
So, over here, you might not be able to see it
Probably
when
not.
we crop it in later, because we kind of zoom in our final edit. But we have a nice little felt banner of the
Maybe
biggest,
we can in the video put superimpose the.
We'll take a picture of that and then I'll put it up here. We'll put it right here. Biggest comeback in NFL history: the Vikings against the Colts. Infamously, our friend Brian.
Yeah, shout out Brian.
Was there watching the game with us. He left at halftime and then miraculously the Vikings came back and
literally miraculously.
so he's not allowed to watch Vikings games with us anymore.
Well, we just have the caveat of
if they're losing badly, he
has
needs to leave,
which I think he fully respects.
Yeah. Anyways, so to get down to it here, it would be the most Vikings thing ever for the Vikings to give up their claim to the biggest comeback ever, and they will be on the losing end of that game. They will be the ones to give up the biggest comeback of all time to another team.
You know what? I fully expect that to happen.
To the Vikings?
Whether it's in 2025 or 21-25. I fully expect that to happen at some point, whether or not we live long enough to see it. I'm going to put that at a 3.
Okay.
Because you could still have a decent season after losing a game.
Yep.
Because ultimately that's what it would be, is losing a game. Now, if you lose that way because everybody gets injured, and the whole season's lost, that's one thing.
Or worse, everybody just gives up and culture goes out the window and people are just mad and not playing anymore.
So records are made to be broken, and I kind of view that largest comeback in NFL history. That's to me, that's a record. I put that up with, Adrian Peterson's 296.
For sure.
As a fan, I think about that fondly as if it's a record that I witnessed, which it is. So records get broken all the time. It's only a matter of time until somebody surpasses Adrian Peterson's rushing yardage total. He's only second. He didn't get the record, but somebody will pass him and Eric Dickerson. These records will be broken. So it would be the most Vikings thing ever, especially if it happened to them. But there will be a bigger comeback at some point. So 3 for me.
All right. Fair.
Good one, by the way. That's solid.
That was one of my favorite ones.
There's going to be a point for the rest of our lives until it happens. The Vikings are going to be up by, because what was it? They're going to be up by 33 points on somebody, and we're all going to be like, here it is. It's going to be the most Vikings thing ever to have them lose this game and lose the title of greatest comeback in NFL history. It's going to happen.
All right.
Hopefully not this year.
Hopefully not this year.
I mean, we could still say that, and then they could just keep winning and win by 50,
That'd be great, too.
All right, my next one. You ready?
Mm-hmm. I'm nervous, though.
This one's a little theatrical, and it kind of touches on something we've already talked about a little bit. Okay, so the Vikings are in a critical game to make the playoffs, needing just one more win to clinch a spot. It's a close game. and they've been playing great the whole season. And then in the final minutes, with everything on the line, Dallas Turner sacks Sam Darnold in the end zone for a safety. Except he tackles him by his face mask, and the refs see it this time. The Seahawks get a first down automatically because, you can't, it's a face mask.
Yeah, you put some thought into this one.
They drive the rest of the field. They drive the rest of the field. And to cap it off, Sam Darnold, Michael Vicks his way in for a rushing touchdown to win the game, breaking a tackle attempt by Harrison Smith. And the
Very
Vikings
specific.
miss the playoffs. And that's Harrison Smith's last play.
Wow. That has to be...
Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, don't make it number 1.
Or 2.
Or don't make it number 5. Don't make it the worst.
No, 5 is... Oh, yeah. Okay. Well...
I thought we were saying the scale. 1 is the nicest and 5 is the worst. I suck at these things.
Yeah, you're right. I wrote it down too. I'm looking at it right here. 1 is the best, 5 is the worst. That's what I had said. And I've already taken 3 and 4, which means I can pick 5 or 1 or 2.
I'm just telling you right now. Don't pick 5.
There's something worse than that?
Yeah, I may have gone overboard a little bit.
Well, then I got to go 2 because that sounds pretty awful.
That's just a culmination of the most Vikings things ever.
And I wish I could reverse my previous pick and that pick because I feel like that's how it should be. I think the last one should be 2 and this one should be 4.
So far, your rankings of my most Vikings things ever. Number 1, the nicest, being...
I've just been keeping track of the numbers.
Oh, okay.
So I've taken number 3, number 4, and number 2. The first scenario you presented to me, I picked at 3
so
right
far,
in the middle.
Sam Darnold icing the Vikings and ruining Harrison Smith's last play. That's number 2. Number 3 is the Vikings coming into 25 with some hype, a lot of respect, and then just having a losing season. And then number 4 for you is just all the big name free agents fail while the leaving Vikings succeed with their new teams.
And to recap, well, let's get you one more pick, and then we can recap your 3 picks. But you've taken 1, the best,
and 3.
And 3. All right. So mine aren't nearly as detailed as yours.
That's fine.
And actually, I have some positive ones. I'm going to throw a positive one your way. It's positive with some negative in it. I think the Vikings will win, and this would be a very Vikings thing to do, possibly the most Vikings thing ever, to win a game despite losing the turnover battle and making multiple costly mistakes throughout the game. It's not very specific, but this last season, winning the turnover battle was a big thing. Kevin O'Connell was touted as, well, when he wins the turnover battle, his teams win games.
Yeah.
And we've been very critical of his clock management, game management as a young head coach. So actually here, I don't even have the Vikings. I say KOC will win a game despite losing the turnover battle and lots of different costly mistakes throughout the game. It would be the most Vikings thing ever for that to happen.
It absolutely would. So I got to go 2. It would be 1, but 1's already taken. Yep. I'm going to go 2. But I could see that happening too. Like, holy crap, we're going to be sitting there like, well, I'm not feeling so great about KOC right now, but man, that crazy play by JJ McCarthy really saved the whole game. Stuff like that. Yep. That's number 2 for me.
All right. So to recap your picks, your best scenario is Sam Darnold finding a ton of success with Seattle, just like Rich Gannon did in the 90s, and then Brad Johnson did in the, I guess both of them did in the early 2000s. It's kind of amazing that Rich Gannon was so long lasting. Yeah. He might be like up until Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco and some like Tom Brady, these super old guys. He might be the last like true old guy to play the game at that position.
Favre played pretty old.
Favre was in there too. Yeah, for sure. So you had that one as your best scenario, and then your Your third scenario, so your middle scenario, was the Vikings giving up the claim to the biggest comeback ever and being on the losing end of that scenario, kind of right in the middle. And then your second best, or number 2, was KOC specifically winning a game despite losing the turnover battle, turning the ball over more than they turned the ball over on the other team, and making several costly mistakes throughout the game. So you've got 4 and 5, the 2 worst left, and I have 1 and 5, the best and the worst.
So we'll see how this turns out for you.
This will be really interesting.
All right, my next scenario. J.J. McCarthy starts the season off hot. He's breaking some single game records and pushing for some single season, even if they're only Vikings, single season records. But his knee starts to bother him again. He plays through it for a couple of games, but ultimately overdoes it, damages his knee significantly, misses the rest of the year, and really never returns to form, kind of like a Carson Wentz scenario. And the Vikings ultimately have to draft another first-round QB within the next couple of years.
I feel like I'm missing some information here. Like, what's the end result of the season for the Vikings? How do they finish?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm just thinking about the Vikings quarterback situation.
Okay.
I'll leave it open-ended for that.
Okay.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, that literally happened to Carson Wentz and the Eagles, and all they've done since then is win 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, well,
attend 3. So
you think about Sam Bradford with the Vikings, like he was the answer, and he was so good, and then his knee got obliterated, and then Case Keenum came in, and all he did was lead him to the NFC Championship game through the Minneapolis Miracle.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to say 1 on that one.
All right,
like I'm going to say that's best case scenario. With the caveat that the team still finds success in the absence of their starting quarterback.
Yeah, I guess the way I wrote it, I left it wide open for that to still work out. It could be an Eagles situation. Because if you go back 10 years or 7 years and tell a diehard Eagles fan, like, hey, you're going to have the second overall pick. You're going to draft an up-and-coming quarterback. His rookie year, he's going to be amazing, like almost MVP level. And then right before the playoffs, Dunzo tears his ACL or whatever happened to him, and then you just stop it right there. That Eagles fan is gonna be like, "Mother, son of a gun," and they're gonna be pissed. And then you fast forward the next 5, 6, 7 years and be like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you attend 3 Super Bowls, you win 2 of them, and you're considered one of the better teams in the league despite hating your coach the whole time." Like, yeah, I'd take it.
Based on your remaining scenario, did I make the right decision?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My last one. So I almost said this earlier. I wrote these in order of mildest to, Armageddon. My last one is comical how horrific it is.
Well, I look forward to that gold, but I've got to give you another scenario here. Okay, so I'm going to go with this one here. And again, I was not nearly as specific as you were, so my apologies. I can definitely be more specific. So
can I explain my process?
Yeah.
I went to ChatGPT.
So did I.
And I typed in Most Vikings Thing Ever. And it gave me...
Oh, it gave me a list,
a paragraph of, a story. And I was like, okay... So
I got
one of
points.
them I kind of tailored towards that. I redid it a little bit, but then the rest of mine I'm like, well, I can't have a little mini story for one of them and then just be like, oh, J.J. McCarthy sucks for another one,
yeah.
So that's why I kind of tailored it.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I definitely used ChatGPT too, but I didn't. I think I maybe used 2 or 3 from that were just kind of fully hijacked, and then I just kind of put my own spin on it, but a few of these, these are just my own original thoughts. I think this is original. It's just kind of vague, but you'll understand. So it would be the most Vikings thing ever if the Vikings play really well all season long and then absolutely implode in a key game in the playoffs
So the 2024 season.
2024, 2019, 2017. I mean, we can go back. We can recount all of the games that we've witnessed in our lifetime where the Vikings have had phenomenal regular seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, the Giants in what was that?
2001. The 41 donut. Is that
the
what you're
41 donut? But then there was was it 2022 where didn't they play the Giants again? No.
Oh yeah.
It was
the
22.
Daniel Jones game.
The Daniel Jones game.
Yeah. That was KOC's rookie year.
The game after the Minneapolis Miracle against the Eagles was like 34-7 or whatever.
1998.
98.
Yeah.
It would be the most Vikings thing ever.
2009.
We have this running list of games that it would absolutely certainly be the most Vikings thing ever for that to happen. JJ McCarthy's the answer. All of these free agents that we've signed, they've established the trenches. We're great. We are the best team in football.
Yeah.
And then poof, it's all gone in 60 minutes because we can't finish a game.
That's my number 5, just because it's awful and we've seen it. Like we've lived it. It would literally be
rips your heart out.
The most Vikings thing ever. We just named 7 different seasons, however many different seasons where that exact thing just happened. And I know only one team wins the Super Bowl every year, and every other team has, a disappointing playoff loss that they'll remember forever. But also lots of other teams have, 1984 was awful, but remember when we won the Super Bowl 3 years later? Like they all have that. But how about that? The Bears have the 1985 season. Like they can always be like, "Well, I've seen my team in the Super Bowl in my lifetime." Like the Vikings and 3 other teams have never made the Super Bowl. So, and the Vikings are the most beaten down, other than maybe the Bills, of that group of teams that have never made a Super Bowl. Yeah, so that's my number 5 because have you heard, like, if you step on like a coral reef and it like burns your skin, and then if you any time in the rest of your life you also step or touch another coral reef, not only does it burn where you touched it that time, but it burns where you had initially touched it, whether 5 minutes before, like 20 years before. Like the playoffs are the Vikings coral reef injury. Like it just, there's no way 2025 would end with a heartbreaking loss, and we wouldn't also think about 2024 and 2022 and 2009 and 2017 and 1998 and all the, for the fans that are old enough, all the Super Bowl losses. Like it just, we don't have that one magical year that would be like, well, at least Brett Favre took us to the Super Bowl that one time. We can remember that, and well, I'll just watch the replay of that game. No, we don't have that. We have the Minneapolis Miracle, and even that is awful.
Can I tell you what that reminds me of? It's definitely a rabbit trail, but it's actually
let's go. I just rabbit trailed for 5 minutes.
You talked about the coral reef and how if you step in the wrong spot and you burn your whatever, and then you do it again, it hurts even worse, and it whatever. So when we were in high school, friend of the show, Chaz, who still needs to make an appearance on the show, but
fantasy football time, we'll get him on.
He will eventually. We'll get Chaz on the show if we can get a hold of him.
We need to get Chaz in the same room as us at some point.
We need to go kidnap the guy at some point.
We've done that before. No, that was another guy. But anyways,
I've kidnapped Chaz before.
Have you?
I have.
I'm thinking of Brother John.
I kidnapped Chaz.
You were the driver for the Brother John.
Maybe I was. I brought Chaz all the way to Colorado.
I remember that.
I brought him out of state.
To talk about rabbit trail. Anyways,
when we were in high school, we had this crazy idea to shave our legs, and we got Nair.
Oh, I remember this.
And this is kind of reminiscent of when you and I both waxed a limb. I
still have a little bit of a bare spot.
Yeah, mine's almost back to normal. Almost.
And yours was a couple of weeks after mine.
Yeah, and I got 4 of them. I got 2 on each leg. Nair is like a liquid foamy thing that you put on your legs, and then you literally you let it sit for a minute, and then you wipe it off, and it just takes your hair off.
Yeah.
Well, if you apply that stuff in the same spot The burning sensation that you feel is unparalleled to anything I've ever felt in my life.
Right.
It is intense.
Purple punishments. We're using the foam there in this coming year.
So no more
we'll
wax
have to let it
strips.
sit and
But then you have to reapply it to feel the burn.
Yeah. We'll reapply it.
Like it's like like you want to like, I don't know. It's like when we were kids and we'd get out of the hot tub and go roll around in the snow. It's like one of those sensations. It's like
a burn.
Anyways, so all of that to be said, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. That would be bad. I would not enjoy that if that happened.
Yeah,
as Vikings fans.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my number 5. Even if your next scenario is worse than that. But all right, my final one, right?
Yes.
All right.
And I only have 5 to pick, so whatever this is must be pretty bad.
Dude, I'm telling you. Okay, so this, I almost don't even want to say it because it's so over the top. Okay. The Vikings finally earned their first trip to the Super Bowl in our lifetimes.
Wow. All right.
They're viewed as the obvious favorites to win the game, and it seems like this really may happen. In a sick twist of events, the opposing team's plane crashes on the way to San Francisco, and the game is canceled.
Wow.
The most Vikings thing ever.
I hope that doesn't actually happen, because then we'll look like idiots for laughing.
I'm talking about like 100 people dying. Like that would be
that's
awful.
got to be the worst thing ever. And like, it would be the most Vikings thing ever, because like the Vikings will have done everything right to get to that spot, and then no, we're not playing the game
for no fault of their own. Can you imagine though, like what would actually happen if the team's flight to the Super Bowl crashed? No matter who it was, like any team, what would they do? Like, you're talking, because teams get there like a week or so before the game. There's all the media hype, everything. Like, they would cancel the game.
Of course, they would have to.
But there wouldn't be a Super Bowl winner that year. Like, what would logistically that would be?
They would probably
on top
just,
of the horror of loss of life and stuff.
I feel
logistically,
like
that'd be just an
they would
insane
probably
nightmare.
just name both teams champions.
Like honorary.
I think that's what they would have to do. Honorary champions, like the deceased team, and and again, that is a doomsday scenario. That
literally
is like
doomsday,
way out in left field.
And to my knowledge, like teams fly together.
Yeah.
Like they all fly together, which maybe that would change like how operations work. Like you'd get, like, I mean, we've seen We Are Marshall, like they would travel separately, probably not the whole team on the same plane. Like,
or you just take a bus everywhere.
All the backups fly on a different plane or something.
The backups fly and the starters take a bus.
Yeah. But like, yeah, that would be the most Vikings thing ever, to finally be on the brink of just
everything for the franchise,
and then for no fault of their own, and nothing the Vikings could actually complain about. That's the thing. Like, KOC couldn't throw a fit. Like, what do you mean you're canceling the game? Like, dude, 100 plus people just died. Like,
right.
Like,
well, and I would have to believe that everybody in the Vikings organization would handle themselves
100% top notch. But like, the thing is, even if you were upset about it, you're not allowed in that scenario. You wouldn't be allowed. You'd be the worst person ever to complain about it. Like, and you're absolutely right. Everyone in the other organization would be just over the moon about like, how can we help families? You know, like they would be gracious about it. But that would be the most Vikings thing ever, to be on the brink of everything, to be able to taste that win. Like, oh, the Vikings are 14-point favorites in the Super Bowl. It's the craziest odds ever. Nope, not going to happen.
Yeah, that would definitely have to be the worst for me.
Yeah.
But I think I got some of those wrong, for sure. But
you got the most important one.
I got the most important one right. I've got one more for you here.
Let's hear it.
And you can only say this is number 4. So this is like second worst.
Yeah.
And I think if you try it hard enough, and if I set this up well enough, I think you can make a case for this being the second worst possible scenario that I present you.
It's not like, oh, JJ McCarthy wins multiple MVPs and then you have to pay him. Like,
No. It's not that. So I want you to remember when we were sitting right here. This was before this old gal was here. We were sitting in the
Man Center.
Yeah, we were sitting in the easy
Recliners,
chairs.
yeah.
We were watching a game up there. We were actually live streaming the game on YouTube. It was the Raiders game.
Skol! 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 Skol!
Do you remember the score of that game?
3-0.
It was 3-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a defensive effort for
Was
sure.
that in the same season they had the largest comeback in NFL
Yeah.
history?
Mhm.
And then the almost smallest margin of victory you can have?
I think those two games happened within several weeks of each other. I think they were kind of in the same part of the season. So I think it would be the most Vikings thing ever for the Vikings to win a game without scoring an offensive touchdown.
I feel like that's happened. But yeah, absolutely.
And it would certainly be reminiscent of that Raiders 3-0 win, but that was technically an offensive score, 3-0. I could see, and hopefully this doesn't happen, but I mean, given the sample size we have to work with KOC's offense and Brian Flores' defense, I could see this offense getting stagnant over time, putting too much stuff on tape, not being able to make something happen against another team.
Yeah.
And I could see this defense
Poorly using a timeout here and there. Yeah.
Clock management, game management, all that stuff. I could see it all culminating in a defensive win for the Vikings, and in a really frustrating win, albeit it's a win, and we've said it before, a win is a win is a win in this league. But boy,
didn't they do that against the Titans last season? Didn't Parker Romo have all the points for the team?
4 field goals.
Yeah.
12-7.
Yeah, no offensive touchdowns, which, I mean, you could think of.
I'm going to consider a field goal technically an offensive
the
touchdown.
offense put them there.
I'm not saying, in this scenario, I'm saying the offense doesn't even get that.
No points from.
There are 0 points. No field goals, no touchdowns. The only points would come from either
like a
safety or a pick six or a fumble returned for.
That would be the most Vikings thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, 4. I could definitely see that as a 4. That's where it is for me. It has to be, but yeah. I think we got some good lists there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
Some
like that.
good talking points, good lists.
Fun. We should do this again sometime, but with new things.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
that'd be fun.
Or maybe we could go back and be like, did you know this actually happened for the Vikings in 1973? Obviously, it's the most Vikings thing ever. There's probably some things out there we could dig up.
Well, if you're out there listening and you're like, hey, that actually happened, let us know. We want to know about it because, I mean, we're not super old yet. We haven't been around for the entire history of the team. So
yeah, absolutely.